Water, the most precious of natural resources, without which we simply couldn't survive. Too much of it though, in the wrong place at the wrong time, can wreak havoc. Which is why it can pay to keep a little stored away in a handy place for a rainy day. These scenes are becoming all too common. Floodwater cascading through streets, wrecking homes and property, threatening lives, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. According to Environment Agency Wales, 1 in 6 properties are at risk of flooding. That's at least 350,000 people in Wales that live or work in areas at risk of flooding. Flooding can happen in many ways, but whether from the sea, from rivers, or flash flooding that overwhelms the surface water drainage system, one thing's for sure, floods are inevitable. This film offers advice and guidance on what steps you can and should take to prepare for and respond to the threat of flooding. It's often thought that building flood defences will stop all floods from happening, but this is incorrect. Whilst defences will minimise the likelihood and severity of flooding, as climate change brings with it more extreme weather, severe storms and wetter winters, this may not always be the case. So let's have a look at the things you can do to prepare for flooding. If you are watching this film, then we at Environment Agency Wales have identified that you live or work in an area at risk of flooding, and you may not be aware of this. It's easy to check though. Call Floodline or type in your postcode on our website Flood Maps to find out how likely it is to flood in your location. The flood map provides information on flooding from rivers and the sea for England and Wales. The flood map also has information on where our flood defence structures are located and the benefit they provide. Environment Agency Wales staff monitor the weather every hour, night and day, keeping a constant check on river levels and tides. When flooding is expected, Environment Agency Wales will issue a flood warning by phone, text message, email or fax.
This is a recorded message from Environment Agency Wales. Flooding of homes, businesses or major roads is expected in your area.
A free flood warning service is available to most people living in flood risk areas. This service is called Floodline Warnings Direct. One of the ways you can prepare in advance of a flood is to sign up for this free service by calling Floodline on 0845 988 1188 or by registering your details on our website. And if you have a mobile phone, make sure you register it along with your landline because you may not be home when that flood warning is issued. You can receive that warning in English and Welsh.
There are no words to explain how devastated the residents are when this dirty, contaminated water enters their homes. Everything they own is destroyed. Pictures of families going back, you know, to the beginning of the century, destroyed, just like that. And really all because they haven't prepared. The Environment Agency has now provided the Floodline, which is excellent, of course. People should ensure that they register so that they receive these flood warnings as soon as possible.
It's also a good idea to complete a personal flood plan, whether you can receive a flood warning or not. This will help you prepare for and respond to a flood. Your personal flood plan should be kept in a safe and easily accessible place. You'll need to refer to it if you are threatened with flooding. You should also make sure you know what our flood warnings mean and what you need to do once you have received one. In fact, there are a variety of ways in which you can prepare for and protect yourself against flooding. Stay tuned to your local TV or radio station. They play an essential role by broadcasting up-to-the-minute information which can help you stay safe. You may lose the power supply to your home, so a battery-operated or wind-up radio will allow you to keep up to date with the latest flooding information. Flooding can often happen very quickly, so getting reliable information fast can be vital. If a flood becomes very serious, local stations may even switch to emergency broadcasting. The BBC runs a media service called Connecting in a Crisis, dedicated to making sure people have all the information they need during a major emergency. And of course, you can always call Floodline for the latest flooding information in your area. As well as the emotional upset and stress which flooding brings, there is also a financial cost caused by the damage. This illustration demonstrates the financial cost of flooding as the level of floodwater damages your home. It is extremely important that you check your buildings and contents insurance to ensure that you are covered for flood damage. This will help you get your home back to normal as soon as possible. Aside from the obvious threat to life and property, floodwater can be extremely dangerous and shouldn't be entered, either on foot or in a vehicle. Floodwater can be contaminated with chemicals, dirt, sewage or pollutants, and it doesn't have to be deep. Just a few centimetres can knock you off your feet, and shallow water can hide potentially lethal hazards, such as uncovered manholes which a person can fall into. It can also be extremely cold, even in warm weather. In short then, you should never enter floodwater unless assisted or instructed to do so by the emergency services. If you own or manage a business, it's really important to have a flood plan to make sure everyone is safe, as Julia Evans of Children's Safety Centre Danger Point now explains.
We did our own flood plan and collected all the information that we needed. Sometimes we could have 100 children there, so we need to know what to do, and everybody needs to be able to do that quickly. If there was a flood, then our lifts wouldn't work because there'd be no electricity. So if we had disabled children on the premises and they were upstairs, we wouldn't be able to get them back down. There's quite a lot of issues that we had really to think about what we would do in that situation. There's things that you just don't think about beforehand. So if flood had happened and we hadn't been warned beforehand and we weren't going to be alerted, then everybody wouldn't have known what to do in that situation. So I think it's really advisable for everybody to make a flood plan beforehand.
If flooding is expected, make sure you know what to do and take steps to minimise the dangers and potential damage. When you are completing your flood plan, make sure you include the following. Make sure your family and pets are safe. If flooding becomes so serious it becomes dangerous to remain in your home, you may need to move elsewhere, as advised by the emergency services. Be prepared to switch off your gas, electricity and water supplies if advised to do so. If you don't know where these are, then ask your utility provider when they next visit. Try to stop floodwater entering your property. Block doorways and air bricks with plastic sheeting weighed down with bricks or sandbags, or insert floodboards or floodgates. The National Flood Forum have a database of flood protection products and suppliers. You can go to the blue pages on the National Flood Forum's website or phone them for more information. Floodwater may even enter your property through drains and toilets if sewerage systems are overwhelmed. So think about where wastewater leaves your home and protect these outlets too. Block the toilets to stop the flow of water coming in through waste pipes. Fill baths and sinks and put something heavy onto plugs to weigh them down. Keep valuables upstairs in a safe place. Remember, while insurance can cover repairs to your property, it can't replace sentimental items such as wedding photographs, family albums or keepsakes. Keep copies of important documents safe and in waterproof packaging. Make sure your personal property is protected. Where possible, move it out of reach of floodwater, raising furniture and emptying bottom shelves and cupboards. Make sure you keep your medication on a high shelf, like the top of a kitchen cupboard. You should also keep essential medication in your emergency flood pack. Think about your car. You might need to move it to higher ground. Just 2 feet of floodwater can sweep your car away. And remember, if you are flooded, call your insurer as soon as it is safe to do so to report any flood damage. And a word for those of you who live in flats. You might think you're safe from flooding, but you're not. If flooding occurs, there's every chance you will lose your electricity or water supply, so you too need to be prepared. You may not be able to leave or enter your building, and very often car parks are located underground or in areas that can become flooded. It's also worth considering if you have children, how school or childcare arrangements may be affected in the event of a flood. All of which brings us back to where we started with this, your very own flood pack. We recommend you make a pack in case of a flooding emergency. It should contain warm and waterproof clothing, blankets, food, a first aid kit, a torch, a battery or wind-up radio and spare batteries. It's also advisable to keep a disposable camera to take images of flood damage for insurance claims. Also pack anything else that's appropriate to your family, such as baby food, nappies, pet food, children's toys, and of course any medication that you're on. Make sure your mobile phone is fully charged or have a mobile phone charger to hand. And of course, don't forget your drinking water. Once you've put your pack together, put it in an easily accessible and safe place.
One of the caravan sites, he went out with a digger, with a big bucket, and he was getting them out the bedroom windows to put them down. The fire brigade were there and the ambulances and that. And he was getting people, he couldn't get out because it was higher there, it was about that high there. We never had any warning. Well, now the phone rings and tells me there's a flood warning. And he said, have you taken the necessary steps, which I have. I've got food in. I've got where my papers are. Some of my papers I've sent to my daughters. I feel a lot better now. I'm more relaxed. And I know that if anything does happen, that we've got a better chance than we had last time. A much better chance.
So remember, you can't prevent flooding from happening, but you can prepare for it. So here's a reminder of the things you need to do. Call Floodline now on 0845 988 1188 to check if you can sign up for our free flood warning service or register online. Complete a flood plan, test it and be ready to put this into action when you receive a flood warning. Create a flood pack of essential items in case of a flooding emergency. Call 01299 403 055 or visit the National Flood Forum's website at www.floodforum.org.uk for information on how to make your home more flood resilient.